Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your man, Math Man Mishang, coming to you live from Summit Academy. In this video, working on that lesson 14 practice. And so what I can do is, for the first part, I can say it gives you a problem and you're trying to come up with the equation for it. So you could say, like something like this. I could say, well, I can have the grapes are 2.39 per grape. I'm adding that to 0.59 for the bananas. So I can say grapes and B for bananas, and I can set that equal to 15. So that's going to be our standard form. Again, where we have our first variable, our second variable equals value. However, in the second one, you're trying to come up with a slope-intercept form because we have y dollars and x weeks. So what we can do is something like this. We can say y equals, we can say 20x plus 50. And you can graph those out to see how those work. In the next part, it says for 14.2, it says each line represents one person's weekly savings in the balance account. So it says choose one of the lines and write a description. So we're saying if I would choose line A, so let's actually choose line A. I'd say choose line A. I'd say, let's say they started with $50 and they added $20 each week. So that's what it's saying. And I noticed that because if I look at my graph, I'm saying, hey, they started at 50, and in this I said after 1 week they increased to 70 because they are adding $20 per week. And then for number 2, it says to write an equation for each line. So what I can do is this. I can say for A, my slope is 20. So I'd write my equation like this. I'd say y equals 20x plus 50. For my next one, let's do C. Where are we at? Well, if I'm looking at C, I can say this is a negative slope, and I could say, well, I need 2 points. So I could say this is the point 0, 1, 10. And I could say it goes down to the point, let's say on here, this is the point 5 and 90. And so I could say, well, what is it decreasing by? Well, it would be negative 20 over 5, which is negative 4. So my slope is going to be this. I have y equals negative 4x, and my y-intercept was 110. So let me try that again. 110. All right. For that equation D, it's a slope of 0, and it stays on 30. So I can just say y equals 30 for that one. Let's break it apart like this. I can say for E, for my line E, what's our slope? So we have y equals my slope for, let's find E. So it's a little bit deeper of a slope, and so what I can find is this. So let's find another point that it goes to. So it's actually going down by 10 each week. So I'm decreasing. So I have negative 10x. And I could say it started at 80, so plus 80. So I can use that equation for that one. And for H, I can say my equation is y equals, I can say 20x and then minus 80. Because we start at negative 80, notice how we have a positive slope, and it goes up by 2 steps for every 1 week. For number 3, it says for which equation is 1, 70 a solution. So I'd say this. I'd say find that point 170, which is actually already used. So let me actually just highlight it like this. So that's the point 170. And I'm saying, hey, what is that used for? So I'd say lines A and E are using it or have a solution at 170. I can say, what does that mean? So lines A and E have a solution at 1, 70. And we're saying This means people had $70 in their account, and $70 in their account after 1 week. So again, make sure you can, translate from the original problem to your picture. So look at your graph, say, what is it saying? Well, if my x-axis is weeks, after 1 week, how much is in their bank account? It'd be $70. And then for number 4, I'll actually probably start a new page for it, but it says for number 4, predict the balance in each equation in each account after 20 weeks. And so here, let me actually do this. And let me do, if I can go back, and then can I do copy, paste, and copy, paste. Okay, so that way I have my boundaries. So I'm going to say for number 4, all you have to do is plug in x equals 20 into each equation. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to pull up your Desmos calculator. So let me close that one, and let me pull up this one, and let's see if it comes up. Perfect. So what I want you to do is I want you to, in your Desmos calculator, if I'm looking at that equation or line A, I'm saying 20x plus 50. So I have my equation, and I'm saying find x equals 20. And so what I can do is I can find where x equals 20. And let's actually make some steps here, because we said the steps on the y was going every 10. And we said let's have it go from negative 100 to positive 150. I guess we'll need to go a little bit further than that, but that's okay. If we scroll up, we should be able to find where they intersect, and that's going to be the point. So for that one, I'm going to say 450. So what I want you to do is you can rewrite each equation and just take it one at a time. So for example, I would say my next one for that line C, I have negative 4x plus 110. So then I should be able to find my values. So now I have my equation, find where they cross, and I'm finding the y value. So for that one, it would be 30. So what you can do is this. So let me show you my screen again. So I'm saying if I have this, let me close these real quick. There we go. It'll work with me. Okay. So what I can do is I can say, all right, for line A, the value will be $450. For line C, it's going to be $30. For line D, the slope does not change, so it's still going to be $30. For line E, it's actually going to be negative 120. And for line H, it's going to be $320. So just make sure you can plug x equals 20 into each of those equations. All right, so now on the back, it starts that lesson 14 practice. I should be able to do most of these, but I'll try to start it for you. So what it means is this. So number 1 on the back, trying to set up some scenarios. So you could actually say this. So I could say, how many combinations of 2-seat tables and 4-seat tables would equal 120 customers. And so what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to start at that part B, because I'm going to say this is going to be 2x plus 4y equals 120. Again, x, and I can say x is 2 seaters, and I can say y is going to be equal to the 4 seaters. And that's the type of table that you're looking at. So what you can do is actually create that graph we're using Desmos. So let's do that, and make sure what I'm looking at. So what you can do is you can type it in exactly as it looks. So I have 2x plus 4y equals 120. And so what you can do is you can kind of look at the graph and see, hey, if I'm looking at these two main points, this will help guide me. So find your x-intercepts and y-intercept. Notice that's at 0, 30 and 60, 0 to be able to graph it. So let me try making this a little bit smaller for you guys. So I'm going to make it like that. And let me do this one. So I'm going to say use Desmos to graph. And what does the slope tell us about the situation? Well, we can say the slope for this one, slope is -1/2, which tells us for every one fewer 4-seater, for every one fewer 4-seater, again fewer because it's -1, we can use an additional 2 2-seaters. That makes sense because, again, our change in y is -1, our change in x is +2. And it says interpret the x and y intercepts. Again, y intercept is going to be 0, 30, which means we can have 30 4-seaters. And for x, our x-intercept is 60, 0, and that means, also 0, 2-seaters. And we can say this is 60 2-seaters when we have 0 4-seaters. So you can be able to see the situation for yourself. So let me unhide this one so that way you can see what I'm writing. And feel free to pause, rewind, replay as needed. All right, so the next part, plug in, just like we did in the previous lesson, plug in your order pair. So plug in x equals -6 and y equals -1. So if I was to rewrite it, I'm saying, does -1 equal 4 times -6 plus 23? So plug in for each of these equations, plug it in, you got plenty of space to see if those work. And for number 3, I'm going to do this one as well. Gives you 2 equations. Right away I know that my slope for line L is positive, and my slope for line M is negative. Find the slope of each line. So I'm going to say for line L, let me actually move it over a little bit like this. So I'm going to say the slope for line L is this. So I'm going to say line L, find those 2 points. So I'm going to use that point 5, 20, and I'm going to use that point 8, 80. Find your change in y is plus 60. Find your change in x is plus 3. write it as a fraction. So I have 60 over 3 equals 20, which is our slope for line L. If I'm looking at the next one, I can say for line M, so line M, same idea, use those points, however, make sure they're on that line. So you can use 520 and what's the other point? I have 8, negative 40, negative 40. I'm going to say my change in x is plus 3, my change in y is actually minus 60 this time. What does that mean? Well, that means that my slope still is negative, but my exact slope is going to be negative 20 for that line M. So again, make sure you can pause, rewind, replay. Again, go back up to that previous number 2 to finish this problem. Ask questions, and as always, super slam that subscribe button.